Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Whatever the I Want podcast, where I, your host, Gaby, get to talk about whatever the I want. And today's episode is essentially about being a kid again and why I think that's one of the keys to manifesting. What I've realized recently was that, kids don't have worries. Kids are not thinking ahead, right? Like I noticed yesterday I was brushing my teeth and I was like, okay, I still need to do this and I need to do all these things. And meanwhile, I'm going through the list of things that I need to do in my head, but I'm not focusing on the task at hand, which is brushing my teeth. And I was thinking like, I need to just be present, right? And that's what they talk a lot about when it comes to manifesting is you need to be present in the moment and just like not worry or stress, because then you're not allowing things to vibrate at the same frequency that you need. Because in order for you to allow things to flow into your life, you need to just relax and chill and understand that it is all happening in due time, along with the action that you take, because obviously action is a part of it. Like me, becoming a singer, it's not like I'll just sit back and an album will write itself, right? Like I am in the works of writing and, working with a producer and all these things, but I'm also not 100% of the time looking at songs or analyzing them and all these things. It requires a balance along with everything in life, right? It requires a balance. What allows kids for just to relax is that they're not thinking logically, right? Like as a kid, I don't remember, like taking a shower and thinking about like anything other than like, oh, I'm excited to go play, or like, oh, I get to see my cousins tomorrow, or oh, I really can't wait to finish painting. I remember at some point I was like painting a lot, painting shoes, painting like physically painting shoes, but like crocheting and making all these things. And that's one thing that kids do a lot of. It's playing. Kids are always playing, right? They're outside. I mean, obviously referring to us as kids and how kids should be. Kids should be playing, not on iPads. I really don't see any benefits to a child having an iPad. I'm not a parent though. You do you. You raise your kids how you want to. For me, what I've realized is as an adult, it was just like this lie that was sold to us that like, oh, you have to be an adult. You have to think logically. You have to do things a certain way in order to get to where you want to go, which is not true at all. Because where does logic take you? You might work in a company for 5 years and think, oh, they're going to offer me a position, right? Because I've been here so long. And then you look over and your coworker who's only been there a year has already been promoted. And it's like, no, you don't need to think logically. And oftentimes people are now realizing if I were to bounce from a job to another job, I'm more likely to get paid more entering a role compared to staying in a company and staying in the same role. So I think logic just doesn't really take you anywhere in life. And I do think that the risk is worth the reward. So it's important to take those risks. And that's what kids do. Kids are very risky. Kids are, doing things and you're like, don't jump off the trampoline and go into the pool. You're going to hurt yourself. Meanwhile, my siblings and I did that all the time. We would put like soap on the trampoline and just like jump, and we got to like jump into our pool, which is, I love that. I have, really fun childhood memories. And I think that that is what we need more of. We need more play. How many adults are just on their phone? And I see this at airports. I see this at work. I see kids just like this all day. And, this episode is not dedicated to how to parent, but it's about why we all need to be playing more. We need to be playing more board games. We need to be creating music, learning things. We need to be drawing, trying new hobbies, going to pottery classes, going to yoga classes, playing sports. That's one thing that my brothers are really good at. They're on a rec softball team, and I think that that's awesome. I was actually talking yesterday with one of my friends about like if you don't use it, you lose it. And that applies to anything in life. I realized, so at work, I'll clean and I'll be like crouching down and like going, dropping a low, and we're vacuuming, trying to get into all these like crevices and stuff. And I'm like, wow, I'll feel myself like, you get up and you're like, oh, that like, oh, wow, it's been a while since I've done that. And I have realized that like, oh, that's a big part of it all, is that you need to be using your body, using your brain, using these things, because if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. You're going to lose the strength that you have, and it's only going to get worse because you're not using it. So that's why I am encouraging you all to join a sport, go to the gym, stretch, get up and do something, because it's so easy to just sit back and scroll, and then you're like this. And I spent years of my life like this, just consuming, right? I'm just like, oh, what is everybody else doing? And then I'm just so caught up in this world that's not really real, like social media is kind of real, kind of not real. It's a lot of parts of the best sides of people. I mean, who wants to show the dark, vulnerable, emotional sides? Not everybody is willing to share those parts of themselves. And I'm really grateful to be in a position where I feel like I can. But I think I've realized that, I obviously smoke weed, and I don't do it super often. I try to not do it super often, but I've realized what helps and why I do think sometimes I'm like, oh, I need to do this, because it's medicinal, like low key, like that's how I view it, is like, this is medicinal. Like 90% of the time I view it as that. Because my brain will just be like, and then I have to do this, and then I have to do that, and then this has to happen, and then I got to do this, and oh my gosh, and then this is on my to-do list. And then like, it's one of those things that like, it just helps me like take a deep breath and calm down. Because sometimes, I do the things, I'm trying to regulate my nervous system and calm down. And there's times that I'm amazing at it. And then there's times where I find myself falling back into who I once was. And I'm like, more anxious than usual, or, maybe like during the holiday season, I was, in my head or missing family more. And so, I think it's great to know what tools you have in your belt. And for me, it's like, breathing, stretching, shaking things out, crying is a big one. And then some of it is also, I'm going to smoke and I'm going to like calm my brain down. But I think I've also just realized like, that's just the point of it all, is you need to be so present in life that you're not thinking about anything else. Like, there's a girl who I was ringing out at work, and we just got to talking, and one thing or another happens, and she ends up with my Instagram, and now we are scheduled to get matcha next week. And I was on the phone yesterday with my friend, and she was like, oh, I'm a woman, I don't take Ubers alone because you never know what can happen, and all these things. And like, yes, I totally agree. Like, you don't know what could happen. And I'm not saying that there aren't bad or evil, or, there's that exists in the world. I'm not saying that it doesn't, but I am saying that you cannot live your life in fear. And that's what kids are, right? Kids are fearless. Kids are like, I'm going to learn how to dunk today. That's what's going to happen. And that's crazy because not dunking specifically, but I remember one time I was eating Chinese food and we had chopsticks, and I was like, today's the day that I'm learning how to use chopsticks. And I sat there for hours. I was so hungry, still just trying to pick up. I'd get like 1 or 2 grains of rice, and I'm just forcing myself. I'm like, today's the day that I learn. And I learned how to use chopsticks that day. And the same thing happened with crocheting. I had a crochet kit literally tucked under my bed. I didn't touch it for a very long time. And one day I was like, today's the day that I learn. And I spent hours and hours and hours and hours. And I probably had maybe like 3 YouTube videos that I could watch at the time. Just because, YouTube was a lot smaller back then. And so I'm just like watching the same tutorials. I'm like, I don't get it. I made this like ugly looking thing. Nothing was right. I would count. And if you don't know anything about crocheting, is you have to like count every single stitch that you do. And that way you know that you're following a pattern correctly. And even now, sometimes I'll count and I'm like, that shit's fucking wrong, but we're going to keep going because I don't know. Like, I'm not going to undo it again for like the 3rd time. Like this is, it's just going to look the way it looks. And it's okay if it looks a little bit off. And I remember I was supposed to be a bear, and I might have a picture of it somewhere, or I might even just have it at my parents' house, like the first thing that I ever made. And it was just like this 3D blob. But I was like, I learned, right? Like I learned how to create a magic ring, a slip stitch. I learned how to crochet that day. And I think that's one thing that we need to also learn from kids is that they are persistent. They will get what they want. My brother even says that, like with my niece, she'll barter with him. Like, hey, Dad, I want ice cream. Well, no, you didn't eat all your dinner, so you can't have ice cream. Okay, well, how about if I get my homework done and I eat all my dinner and I'll get ice cream tonight? And guess what that girl does? She does everything she says, and she will negotiate and get her ice cream. And I think that that's something that we also need to take from kids is like, don't take no for an answer. Don't take no for an answer. Keep trying, keep going. I saw this TikTok that was saying like, if in 50 no's from now, you got 50 no's. If you knew that on the 51st try, you would get a yes, would you keep asking people? Yeah, you would, because you would be excited about those no's. You would be like, oh, another one off. We're one step closer. We are one step closer to that yes. And I think that that's how we need to view opportunities is like, maybe this one isn't the one I thought it was. Maybe it isn't. But you know what? That means I am one step closer to that yes. And that could be in a relationship. That could be applying for jobs. I mean, I remember when I was first applying for jobs, I applied to like hundreds of jobs. And I would write them all down. When I applied, did I follow up? And I would kept track of everything. And I remember feeling so discouraged because, my dad was like, you're not trying. And I'm like, bitch, I am trying. Nobody wants me. And, lo and behold, I finally get a job. And I don't think I've ever particularly talked about my job experiences, but let me tell you this. Okay, so I graduated college, took me a while to find a job. I started working at a law firm doing their marketing. The guy told me, the boss, head honcho, lawyer, was like, you remind me a lot of my mom, and my mom recently passed, and so I'm going to hire you. I worked there for maybe 2 weeks. Maybe 2 weeks. I had to bring my laptop in. I got no guidance, right? This firm did not have anybody doing marketing. It's my first job out of college. I don't know what it is that they want. They haven't talked to me about a color palette. They haven't told me all these things. They haven't given me any structure of like what I need to be doing. And so, and they didn't say, hey, we need this from you. So one thing or another happens. I end up getting laid off. And then I start working not long after I moved to Coral Gables. I start working in Miami Lakes or Miami Gardens. I don't know, wherever the Harley Davidson is in Miami. I started working there. I kid you not. I worked there for maybe like 3 days. The guy was a UF alum as well. I didn't even have a desk. I had to also bring in my laptop. No structure at all for marketing. I literally was using somebody's filing cabinet as a desk. And I knew I wouldn't stay there long because just the way the environment was just not healthy. I would just watch women walk in and all the men just like swarm, or they'd be like sexualizing the women. They'd be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go talk to like this girl. She's got a fat ass and this isn't in a work, right? Like, I mean, this is the work environment. I'm working with these people and they're just like sexualizing the women walking in. And it just felt so uncomfortable. I knew I was going to leave. I knew that I wasn't going to stick it out. I just didn't know how long I would stay there for. And I get laid off. And I'll tell you, both of these people told me that I was not outgoing enough. And I had such an existential crisis of like, am I not outgoing? Like, what is happening here? Like, I would describe myself as an outgoing person. And I remember talking to one of my friends and I was like venting. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm so lost. Like, what am I supposed to do? I moved to Miami for this job. Thankfully I got to live with a partner during the meantime. So I wasn't like renting out a place, but it's like, okay, well, I mean, I have a place to stay, but like the whole point of me moving in with him was like, oh, it's out of convenience. It's the drive shorter for me. We get to live together, whatever. But now I don't have a job. And I questioned my life so much. I'm like, am I who I say I am? Like, I don't know. I'm so confused. And people were like, no, Gabby, these jobs aren't giving you enough time to like show who you are. I low-key feel like I'm missing a job in between there. But anywho, so I was doubting myself, and eventually I ended up getting another marketing job working for a skincare company. And I was there maybe like maybe like 9 months. And eventually, like, I asked for a raise. I had to, this is during COVID. I'm like, I'm doing a lot of jobs at once. I asked for, I think, like a $20,000 raise. And I was like, I'm just going to overestimate, because that's what I was always told. Ask for more. And then if you got to negotiate your way down, you negotiate your way down. But you don't start with like, this is what I think that they're going to give me, because, a company is going to negotiate their way down too. So it was very hard asking for a raise, especially over the phone, and the phone kept disconnecting, and then her phone died, and it's just like a very awkward conversation. And she had me like writing down everything that it is that I do. And eventually we had a conversation. I ended up getting a raise. I believe it was 10, maybe like almost a $10,000 raise. And eventually we had a conversation, and she was like, Gabby, like, what's your goal? And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, what's your goal? Like, what's your plan? Like, you're not going to stay here forever, right? And I didn't know. I got really emotional because I knew I wasn't going to stay there forever, because what I hated about it was that since I was on social media so much, I didn't feel like social media was fun for me anymore, because I was on it all day, DMing people, posting, and, like reaching out to influencers and all these things. And I knew that it wasn't something that I wanted to stay in, but it was kind of like, you want me to leave? Like, I don't want to stay, but you want me to leave? Or like, and I didn't realize at the time, but I do think that for her, it was like, you're bigger than this. And, she would tell me like, you're going to do great things. And I'm like, I see a lot happening for you. You have a bright future ahead of you. And I think at the time, like, it was like a breakup for me, because I had, for the most part, enjoyed the job. I felt like I grew a lot as a person, and I learned how to build some confidence. But I think whenever you know that something's not for you, it's very important to just like pivot. And that's something that I'm realizing is like, you have to do it quickly, because if you don't, you stay stuck in things longer than you're meant to. And that's not what I want for myself. I want to grow. So like, even if a kid, I understand, the idea of, okay, well, my kid signed up for baseball. They don't like it, but they should stick out the whole season. I kind of understand that perspective of like, stick it out, right? Like, you signed up for a whole season, stick out the season. You need to learn that whenever you commit to something, you're going to commit to it. However, I also understand in that when something's not for you, it's not for you. So maybe have them stick out the season, right? You have that compromise of like, okay, you're going to stick out the whole season, but next year you'll try something different. And I think for me, like, I have a friend, a coworker of mine, who is working at our job. And, he was like, I hit the year, didn't get a promotion. And he was like, if I don't get a promotion by XYZ time, I'm out. And that's a fair compromise for you to tell yourself, like, this is not for me. I do not want to stay here, but I need to see more in order for me to stay. And so for me, I think it is important to just move on when you know that something's not for you. As hard as it is, move the fuck on. Go. I don't care if you don't have a job. I don't care. I mean, I'm sorry, this sounds really harsh. You'll figure it out. And my dad has told me that before, like, Gabby, you'll figure it out. And it's because, I mean, like, if you think about it in a logical way, your brain goes into like survival mode, and your brain is like, I'm not going to let you fail. Like, we are going to make it work. Now, I feel like there's a fine balance there of, yeah, okay, I understand if you want to have an extra month's rent worth of income, that way you can have that just in case. I understand wanting to have a cushion. I understand the logical aspect of wanting to have a cushion. However, what is the harm in working at McDonald's for 2 months to sustain yourself when you know that you're not going to stay? Like me, I'm working retail right now and my plan is not to stay. I've been offered the supervisor position now twice and I am like, I don't plan on staying. I don't. And it's not to say like, okay, if you want me to do it, like I'm open to it. But then my boss was like, you're going to have to work 2 nights a week. No, then that's a no for me because it's already crossing into my bigger goals, which is pursuing music and content creation and growing this podcast. Like if this job is just meant to sustain whatever I need for it to sustain at the moment, but it's not where I'm going. It's not where I'm headed. It's not aligned with my future. This job, like somebody was mentioning, because we get like uniforms, like, oh, in May, oh, we're going to get cooler uniforms. I'm like, May? I'm not trying to stay here till May. Like that's a long time from now. I'm not trying to stay here that long. And I think that it's cool to let go of things that no longer serve you. And I think there's just a lot of lessons that we can learn from kids, which is to have more fun, to dance, to sing, to be silly, to make jokes, to not care. Kids are not born racist. Kids are not born homophobic. Kids are not born with hate. Kids are born and they have love and they have excitement and they have a appreciation for the world. They savor their foods, and maybe the ones that they don't like, they throw and they scream and they fight and they have little tantrums. And it's okay for you to have a tantrum as an adult. Just make sure you apologize to anybody that you hurt after, or have a tantrum on your own time and write things out and color really hard and, like run around and do things like move your body. That's the only way to get these emotions to get out of you, is to like, let them out. And how do you want to let out these emotions? Do you want to go out for a run? Do you want to go play basketball? Do you want to weight lift? Do you want to draw? Do you want to color? Do you want to scream into a pillow? Do you want to put on like a heavy metal album and just like, like scream it out? I don't know what you want to do, but it's important for you to do something and not grab your phone and avoid your feelings and avoid your dreams and keep living in this matrix. And I'm like, I do not want that for myself. And the more that I've realized, like, how can I stop a thought? How can I be more like a kid? It's really changed, honestly, my manifestations, the way that things have come into my life. It's just allowed for things to flow to me because I almost have like a direct line with God, which is what kids have, right? They have this direct connection and, in the artist way. And I've mentioned this before, like it's like a river, think of like God at the top of the river, the universe, your angels, whatever you believe in, Buddha, whatever, that they're at the top of the river and, or waterfall, we'll call it, waterfall. So they're at the top of the waterfall. You're all the way at the bottom. You have this steady stream of blessings, of creative thoughts, of innovative ideas, of concepts, of all these things just like flowing to you. As a kid, you're like, oh, I should do this. Oh, I should do that. And, and you might have to explain your drawings to an adult because they're like, and this is, because your dinosaur doesn't necessarily look like a traditional dinosaur. Over time, boulders, rocks get put in of, no, Gabby, I don't like that. Why did you write that way? Are you sure you want to wear that outfit? Your shoes don't match. Oh my gosh, you have, acne on your skin. Do you even wash your face? Things that have been told to me. Your nose is really big. You look like a witch. And then just like things get put in and first of all, insecurities only exist because other people put them into your brain. Insecurities literally do not exist in a child at all, ever. And so what I realized is like, they're literally made up. Somebody decided acne is not pretty and they made that an insecurity. We're like, you know what? It's not nice to look at. So now I'm going to see that as a problem. Oh, you're really tall. Well, that's attractive, actually. You being really tall, that's a good one. We like that. Beards. Oh, hot, right? Like, oh, I like beards, and it's okay to have preferences. However, insecurities are things that we created. So now if a guy doesn't have a full beard, it's like, I'm just going to completely have it shaved off, because what's the point of having a scruffy, patchy beard if I can't have a full one? Because somebody decided that a full beard is what looks better. And so whenever you start to realize that like insecurities are literally things that are made up, that we decided as a society to be like, I agree. I feel like I'm like, oh, I just learned to let them go. My nose is the way that it is. My hair is the way that it is. This is just how God physically wanted for me to look. And that's okay. And I'm happy with that. And I know that it might be easier said than done to love yourself. But I think that loving yourself is the only way to go about life. Because I have spent so many years hating the way I looked, hating things about myself. And for what? Like, what did that do for me? It didn't do anything for me. And I've noticed recently I'll look in the mirror and I'll be like, oh, my eyes look so kind. Or, wow, I'm so pretty. Or my skin looks so good. Or I am so vibrant or radiating. And, I have noticed that now I'll look into the mirror and I'll compliment myself. That'll be the first thing that I do. And that doesn't happen 100% of the time. But it was crazy to realize that my brain did the opposite for so long. My brain was always looking for something that was wrong with me. I'll write something that's bad. What are people going to think? And I'll start going. I was literally writing a song last night and I was like, but somebody's going to be like, oh, Gaby, why did you sing it this way? Or this lyric should have been like this. And then I'm already getting in my head and I'm like, I need to go to bed. That was my, like, I'm in my head. I need to remove myself from this situation. And I think that we need to be doing more of that. When you are in your head, remove yourself from the situation. Do your best to get out of your head and be like a kid. Distract yourself. Like, think about it whenever you're getting a shot as a kid. I would look around the room. I would literally be like, oh, that watch, is that clock right? Oh, and you would keep yourself busy. Like, you'd look outside and you would, maybe count all the buildings or see how many cats you could see from the window, or, you'd look for punch buggies, or, you would play I Spy, or you would do something to distract yourself. And that's not something that we do of much anymore. We don't observe. We're too busy, addicted and consuming a lot, but we just need to sit here and to observe. When's the last time you went to a coffee shop and just read a book or just people watched? I think that I've found so much more peace in putting my phone down. And honestly, what I do a lot of is just put my phone in black and white, because I'll be like, I am wanting dopamine. I want that. And so I'm like, black and white phone, I can't watch any more social media. And it's something I actively have to do because, I want to be on my phone too. I want to know what everybody else is doing. I want to, watch. And it's tough because, social media is also informative, like, oh, but this recipe that I saw, or look at this home renovation, or, the ASMR of this guy mowing the lawn. Like, it's not all bad. Not all social media is bad. Consuming is not bad in every way. However, you need to be mindful of when something is turning from healthy to unhealthy, and acknowledging that is the biggest part, right? like acknowledging that you are the problem, acknowledging that something is wrong, acknowledging that you need help, acknowledging that you have an addiction. Acknowledgement is the first step to anything. And so I think right now you need to look at your life and acknowledge, what is it that you want to change? What is it you want to work on? What is it you want to improve? Thankfully, it is a sunny day today. The lighting, it has changed throughout the video. So for that, I apologize. I guess we'll see how this is in post. So in manifestation, they talk about being in alignment. And I think that being a kid is how you can get into alignment. You need to just make life fun. Romanticize your life. Do you know what I do every day now? I light candles. I set intentions with them. Like, think of it like your birthday. Like, you have a candle, you make a wish. I make wishes. I'll start off my day and I lay there and I'm like, I'll say like a little prayer, like, thank you, God, for allowing me to have a roof over my head. Thank you, God, for allowing me to have Miko. Thank you, God, for giving me a space to live. Thank you, for God, for the food in the fridge. And I think gratitude is a huge, huge part of it. Because as a kid, you were grateful for everything, right? Like, I mean, for the most part, unless you were like a little bratty and you're like, this is not the Bratz doll that I wanted. I wanted, Jasmine, and you gave me Chloe. Like, I'm not saying that like sometimes we couldn't have been bratty as kids, but I think for the most part it was like, oh, this is so cool, thank you so much for this lip gloss, or like, oh my gosh, mom, like we get to get McDonald's today, how fun. Like you allowed for mundane things to be fun. How excited were you sometimes to go to the library? I mean, I feel like most people who watch this podcast maybe were, because they're people who are similar to me. But like, I used to be so excited to go to the library. It was like, let's get out of the house. Let's go do something. Oh, mom, let's go to the park. Come on. The park would be so much fun. Mom, let's go. Let's go. Or like, hey, mom, like, oh my gosh, can I go ride my skateboard outside? Like, and you might think like, as a kid, looking back, it was so insignificant, right? Those little things they seem so meaningless, but to a kid it was exciting. Oh, come on, like, mom, let's go to that coffee shop. Mom, you love, I know that my nieces are like this, like, mom, like, let's go to Dunkin', like, and because they know they'll get like a little donut or something. But like, how appreciative of they were, like, of that. Maybe you only gave them one munchkin and they're like, yes, I got my freaking munchkin, let's go. And we need to do more of that. Just be excited about life. Be excited, be grateful. So what do? I am now looking at life a little differently. How do I want my Bratz character to look today? And some days she's gonna wear a hoodie and sweatpants, and some days she's gonna dress up, and some days she wants to wear makeup, and some days she doesn't. Some days I want to wear jewelry, some days I don't. How do I want my avatar to look today? Like, do I want my hair to be up? Do I want my hair to be down? And I will literally light candles and incense. Today I lit Palo Santo. I lit 2 different types of incense. I also lit an orange candle, and different candles, the colors of them hold different meanings, but I will literally say like a prayer, like, and I light them when I shower. And I literally will make it a ritual. I will light them when I shower, light them when I wake up, or even throughout the day. And I'm like, God, like today I just want, for everybody to have a wonderful day. I pray that everybody gets to eat. I pray that we all get to become the best versions of ourselves. I pray that we, get to push ourselves today. I pray that we all get to drink clean water. And I remember always hearing like there's power in prayer. And I used to think like, I don't believe that. Like, I don't know why I just didn't really believe it. But now I do. I really do believe that good energy creates a trickle effect. And it's the same thing with bad energy. Bad energy is also addictive, and it can also spread. So same thing with good energy. So I've realized that like every day that I wake up and I choose myself, every day that I chase after my dreams, every day that I pray for other people, I think positively, that's another day where somebody else gets to reap the benefits of me doing those things. Like, I went to the gym New Year's Day, and one of my friends was like, oh, I saw that you had finished a workout, so I got out of bed and I went to go work out because you did. And it was like, I didn't work out with the intention of her going to work out, right? But it was like, oh wow, like me choosing myself today encouraged somebody else to choose themselves today too. And I think there's so much beauty in that. And, when Christian was here the other day, I'm like, practice the piano, like, play, and we were singing karaoke and I was playing and we were just having fun. And I think that that's just what we need more of, is we just need to play more, and as adults, we need to stop getting so sucked into, oh, I just got off work, I'm so tired, I'm so exhausted, I hate my life, oh, this is so annoying, I have to eat the same thing every day. And honestly, this reminds me a lot of my ex. Oh, I don't, I'm so tired of eating this and la la. And it's just like, what are you grateful for? Like, why are you complaining about having to eat chicken? You have food. What is there to complain about? You have gas in your car. What is there to complain about? You have a working vehicle. You have a vehicle, period. What is there to complain about in this life? You have so much, and you take it for granted. So why is God going to give you more when you take what you have for granted? My dad used to say all the time, you don't have to be poor and dirty. That's how my grandma raised him. You can be poor. You can like not have a lot of physical things. However, you don't have to be dirty. And it's like, how true is that? How true is that? Why would God give you a bigger home? Why would God give you a nicer car when you don't even take care of what you have? You don't take care of it. Your car is full of McDonald's bags. Your car is full of trash. I've seen in Starbucks, I would see people's entire back of their cars, seats filled up junk food. Junk food. I mean, poor people. I'm like, I don't know how they live like that. If this is their car, I can't imagine what their house is like. Same thing with like your physical health. You're not taking care of your body now. So why would your body take care of you in the future? You're not eating healthy. You don't drink water. You don't work out. So in 20 years from now, whenever you have some physical ailment, you know, and obviously I'm not wishing this upon anybody, but like, let's think here. Why would your body take care of you when you didn't fucking take care of it? Like, make it make sense. And obviously balance, right? I'm not saying you have to eat healthy 100% of the time. Eat healthy 70, 80% of the time. Nobody is forcing you to buy the chips. Nobody's forcing you to buy the sodas. Nobody's forcing you to eat the way that you eat. You choose to do that. And it's like everything in life. Like, you know, they say like your body is your temple. Your whole life is your temple. Be careful of who you allow into your life, who you allow close to you. Be careful of what you eat. Be careful of what you consume. Be mindful of your life and what you are living, because you are a testament to all the things around you. You are the company you keep. And I've realized that my friends are freaking awesome. My friends choose themselves. My friends work on themselves. My friends apologize. My friends do fun things. My friends have hobbies. My friends are enjoyable to be around. I can have deep conversations with my friends. And it's a community of people that I've created because of who I am and who I attract. Like the girl that I'm going to have matcha with next week, in the brief conversation we had, she's moved to LA. Now she's back in Chicago. She's like, I recommend for everybody to leave their home state. And I'm like, that's funny that you say that, because I'm originally from Florida. And she's like, oh my God, how cool. Like, let's connect. And we ended up like, we had a lot in common based off of the brief conversation that we had. But interesting that I attracted this person into my life, right? And I just think that it's, what a cool thing, right? Like now I'm able to see or reap the benefits of me choosing myself. And I get to be around other people who have chosen themselves. Other people have taken the beaten path and who are like, you know what? I'm just going to trust God. And there's a documentary about kids that were lost in the, I don't know if it was the Amazon rainforest, but these kids were lost. They were in a plane crash. It's a fascinating documentary. I actually want to really rewatch it because of just how many lessons I learned while watching it. So they had these people, like police officers and the government going, you know, their logical way of like, well, there's a lot of, you know, people who live in the forest who, you know, are native to that area, who don't allow outsiders in, who like essentially like kill you or create a war because they don't want outsiders. But these kids are lost, right? There's a plane crash. And so the government essentially like eventually goes in and they're thinking logically about how these kids are going to go, where they're going to walk. Oh, they're probably dead. It's already been so long. And then they had native people who volunteered to help find these kids. And what these native people did was they listened to nature. And this might sound ridiculous to some people, but they sat there. Tobacco was like something that they used. They did like a spiritual ceremony. And they were like, no, the trees are talking to us this way. We're going this way. And they end up taking an entirely different direction than the government took. And they were able to find clues. Oh, well, here's a diaper. We found a diaper. Okay, so that means like they were definitely here. And they just kept trusting their intuition, trusting their gut, trusting God. Like, God, you are going to lead us to these kids. And, you know, how we find them is how we find them, but we're going to find them. And guess what fucking happened? The native people who just prayed and allowed for God to guide them through this forest, through these trees. I mean, it's a miraculous story, and it's real, which is crazy. It's inspiring, and it just reminds me that you will never, ever, 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 ever fail whenever you listen to your heart, whenever you do things with good intentions, whenever you have fun, whenever you laugh, whenever you enjoy life. How can you fail? Even if now I were to die tomorrow and maybe I don't get to release the album, and maybe I don't get to, you know, accomplish all the things that I want to accomplish in life. The reason why I would feel still so happy and so grateful is because I know that I've made an impact. I know that I started to live my life with the purest intentions. And I don't think I've ever lived life with bad intentions, but I think whenever you realize like what goes around comes around, and, you know, I've not been a perfect person in my life. Once I started to realize like my words really do matter, my actions really do matter, how I show up really does matter. Once I started to take accountability of who I am and how I can show up in the world, it allowed for me to be a better version of myself and to show up in ways that I didn't think was possible at some points. And so, yeah, maybe an album wouldn't be released, but how freaking cool that I got to release a podcast. How many people do you know? I've already had people approach me and say, I wish I could release a podcast. It's so cool that you have one. I don't even know what I would talk about on mine, you know, or like maybe one day I'll release one. And from all these conversations, I haven't seen somebody actually do it. And that's one of the hardest things, right? Is to actually just start. But that's why you need to do things for your inner child, because your inner child doesn't care. Your inner child is not like, oh, but like my friend's YouTube channel is about this and mine isn't about that. You know, kids don't really think that. Maybe they say that because an adult told them that. But a kid is not like, oh, I'm going to do this because somebody else is doing this. Maybe to a certain extent, a kid will do that. But for the most part, a kid is like, I want to join dancing classes. I think it'd be fun. I just want to join dancing classes. You know, and they'll say like random thoughts, but it's because something within them wants to do it. And I think that we just need to be more courageous, and we need to just do things and not think about the consequences, or not think about logically what will happen if we do XYZ, because there is space for you. And a kid doesn't worry about, oh, if I drop a YouTube channel, is there enough money in the world to go around for me to have? A kid is not thinking that. If anything, a kid's like, I'm going to start my YouTube channel now and I'm going to be Mr. Beast in a year from now, right? And they have these, what we think, crazy dreams. In a year from now, this 10-year-old is going to be the next Mr. Beast, you know, and even think about the way that I just said that. A kid is like, yeah, why not? An adult is like, but why do you think that would happen? We just think way too logically. So I know this might feel, at least for me, this felt like very long-winded, but I really hope that in 2026, you decide to be more like a kid, to allow your inner child to come out and to play, and truthfully, screw the adult version of you. Like, or, you know, maybe don't screw the adult version of you. Maybe just be who your younger self would be proud of. And I think I have started to become that. And I think it has been the most rewarding thing, is just being able to do things for my inner child. And I know that a lot is going to happen this year. A lot is going to change this year simply because I've changed my mind. Perspective is everything. And I think that's what we need to do more of, is focus on the perspective of what would my inner child love for me to do, and to have a long, long list of things that I want to do, things that I want to provide for my family, things that I want to accomplish. Things, I mean, you have genuinely no freaking idea of how big these dreams go and how crazy they sound. My vision board is back here for 2026. You might be able to catch a glimpse of it. But essentially, a lot of it is surrounding music and surrounding using my voice, because I think I've really realized that my voice is what God gave me. God gave me a voice, and it's time that I use it. I know that last year I spent time trying to figure out what my gifts were, what my talents were. How can I say those dreams out loud and not be so scared? But I think that this year I'm going into 2026 headstrong and like kind of fearless. A little bit of fear, a little bit. That's why I say kinda. But for the most part, a little fearless. And I think that's so cool. Just to kind of like, I don't know, I feel alive. I feel so alive. And I feel more alive than I ever have in my entire life. I don't know. I mean, I do feel like I've put a lot of time and effort into becoming this person. But I'm just really excited she's here and she's ready to play and she's ready to like be fun and be bad at things and just try them, and maybe this one doesn't stick and maybe this one does, but like at least I'm freaking trying. Because the people who don't try are the haters, you know? They're the ones that are like, yeah, well, you can't sing. Oh, like somebody commented on one of my videos like Shakira wannabe, right? And I was like, at first, my first reaction was like, ouch. Because I'm not like particularly a very big fan of Shakira. Like I like some of her songs, but I don't listen to her like that. Meanwhile, I mean, we all know that Shakira is an icon, right? And I'm like, man, perspective, right? Me a couple years ago would have been like I would have been crying. I would have been so upset. And I was like, for you to think that you're insulting me by calling me an icon is like a compliment. Like that's a really big compliment. Shakira has performed in the Super Bowl. Shakira literally has like an animated character in Zootopia, like a recurring role as well in those movies. Shakira is a fantastic dancer. She looks amazing at her age. She has her own unique sense of style vocally and in terms of how she dresses and presents herself. And you're trying to insult me? So that's what I mean by perspective. I turned their insult into a compliment. They actually complimented me. And it might sound delusional to a lot of people, but for me, that brings me so much peace that not even somebody who might have with the intentions had a hateful comment, I'm still able to turn it into something positive. So like, okay, come at me then. Come at me. If that's what you have to say, it's actually a compliment. And I feel bad for you. Like that's not the way to live your life. I would never personally comment on somebody's video. There was a girl I saw on TikTok. She posted an outfit, and while it's not something that I would personally wear, the comments were outrageous. Oh, that is so ugly. I would never leave the house like that. How terrible. You don't know how to dress. And this girl replied to those comments, I love your hair. Your smile is so pretty. The stuff you bake looks so good. Complimenting them. And I was like, how powerful is it to respond to something hateful with something positive? And I was like, that's the kind of person I want to be. I want to be the kind of person that if somebody has something bad to say, I don't stoop down to their level. I don't come at them with more hate. I come at them with love and with sympathy. And I'm like, you know what? I can't relate to the hate that you feel in your heart. Or maybe at one point I did, but I'm not going to feed into it because that does nothing for nobody. So you just gotta like kiss the haters on the forehead, like, mwah. Love you, Bookie. I wish you all the best. Because I know there's people in this world who might not like me, but a kid doesn't care. A kid's like, I have other friends I gotta play with. I have other people in my life. You think as a kid, I was not sitting there thinking like, my friend didn't talk to me today. Oh, it's the worst day ever. I was not thinking about that. I was too busy like watching Harry Potter and painting. I did not care. And we got to do more of that. It's just not care. Point blank, period. So yeah, thanks for watching. I really hope that this allows for you to let go of all these expectations, let go of all this anxiety, let go of all this overthinking, and just live. Live, have fun, create, and don't live your life with regrets. You only got one shot. We got to take it. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll catch you in the next one.